Shiny versus sanitary. Food and beverage companies, are you pumping your products with poison? Right now, everything is under the spotlight in terms of sanitation and health, and food and beverage companies, it's really, really important that you do not let any bacteria slip through those cracks. Here to tell us all about it is Kenneth de Meulemeester. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining me on scottkundle.com.
Hey, Scott. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invitation on this.
My pleasure. Right, let's get straight into it. So these beautiful shiny pumps that food production companies use, that restaurants use, that many companies involved in food and beverage use, might not actually be as sanitary as one might think. And this is a problem. Tell us about it.
Well, if we go into hygienic business, normally everything is indeed very shiny. It looks all very bright. Most of the products that are made or components that are made in hygienic industry are made of stainless steel. But you have in first place a very big difference between stainless steel 304, stainless steel 316. And it looks all shiny. But then you also have a difference between industrial pumps and what we call hygienic pumps. Industrial pumps can be created from stainless steel 316. They look very shiny, but they have a certain way of building. So you have some bacterial traps or possibility that you have some contamination in your pump. If you have a good hygienic pump, this is just not possible anymore. And this is the big difference. The industrial pumps are a little bit higher on efficiency. They will be also a little bit cheaper compared to a hygienic pump, but hygienic pumps are cleanable and perfectly cleanable. And I think this is the most important part in the hygienic world, of course.
Well, this is a little bit scary because you mentioned these bacterial traps. And I'd like you to explain to us how a bacterial trap works within a pump. And once again, going into a little bit of detail about this concept of CIP and in terms of the self-cleaning mechanisms, which are going to be so important, especially going into the future, once again, when sanitation is going to be of paramount importance.
Well, bacterial traps or bacterial possibilities is depending on a few parts in the pump. You have the whole story about your mechanical seal. You have the story about your O-rings. In a hygienic pump, we will create some turbulence around your mechanical seal, and we will also place the O-rings into the fluid stream to make sure that when you finish your batch of producing, that it's possible with a CIP cleaning to clean actually the pump. Also, the surface treatment is something that is very important. On different levels of hygienic business, if you go, for example, to pharmaceutical industry, they will ask a surface roughness of about 0.4 micrometer. If you go to normal food industry, normally it will be around 0.8. The way how you get this surface treatment is very important. You can do it with the mechanical polishing, but the problem is with the mechanical polishing is that you get a certain bacterial traps in your pump. It looks very shiny, but the problem is that you get some minuscule gaps that bacteria can come into. This is the big difference that we do with our pumps. We treat them with an electropolishing treatment. It's a combination of a chemical and an electro system. So we will actually burn the peaks from the surface to make sure that you cannot have very small traps anymore. We don't push the surface flat to make sure that we have and there is no actual mechanical treatments. So there are no gaps. The surface is much smoother. And it's a lot harder for the bacteria to actually get into holes or to stick to the surface. It will make also the CIP process a lot easier to clean the pump.
So Kenneth, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I started my first job at McDonald's in Australia. And I remember very clearly at the age of 16, in the middle of the night, when the place had closed, I had to be on wash duty. That's how I started my career. And I was cleaning them. And I will never forget, because McDonald's had those really nice, shiny stainless steel. Everything is shiny in stainless steel. There was no such thing as electropolishing. I cleaned them, I sprayed them, and I remember after you polish them, they look really pretty and they look nice. Now, how does the organization, the restaurant or the food manufacturing company or the plant that they're in, what do they have to do to start using these pumps differently? In terms of, do they need to put new policies in place? Are they more complicated? Do they need more training? How do they work from that perspective?
Well, the very nice thing about electropolishing, the thing that you say when you were working at McDonald's, you had to clean by hand. This is what we call cleaning out of place. This is actually cleaning by hand, disassembling the whole pumps, the components, cleaning them by hand, put them in the baths. What we want to do with our pumps is to make them CIP cleanable. And this is actually that the pump stays in the system, it stays all connected. You just put some cleaning agents into the system, and you clean the whole process system just with the pump in place. So the whole story about cleaning by hand, this is finished. We don't want it. It's production time loss. We don't want systems like this. The big advantage is also if you do a manual cleaning, it looks very good, it looks very shiny, but it's very hard to get the same level of cleanability compared to a CIP cleanable pump. And this is the big difference. So where we make the difference is with our electropolished surface treatment, for example. You don't have to clean so much. It's much easier to clean your surface compared to a non-electropolished surface, because it's just a lot harder for the bacterial to actually to get into the surface. What is the biggest problem in this hygienic industry?
So electropolishing would have taken my job, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because I didn't really enjoy that job, I must be honest. And I definitely think it could have been done a lot better than someone like me. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Naturally, things have come a long way since I was working in McDonald's. And as you said, the new technology, especially within the Verder pumps, has increased significantly. So tell me a little bit about the certifications from an international perspective, and what kind of standards need to be met, and where do your Verder pumps sit within those standards?
Oh, this is actually a very good question of you. If you look at the world, we have a few big standards, a little bit depending on what kind of continent you are in Europe. And Europe, you have, for example, the EC 9035 2004. There's actually a law that says that your pump has to apply to a certain things, that you don't get parts of your elastomers or your pump into the fluids. It cannot give you can give the food some taste, some smell, things that change the structure of the food. This is the most important, not only in Europe but also in the States. Every part that you work with in food industry cannot give any changement to the foods. For example, if you would work with a cast iron pump that could be rusty, you can get some rust into your food products, and this is the last thing that you want. So this is not how is on world organization. You have some laws, and every country they have a little bit their own laws. But then you also have a whole story about certification. For example, you have a certification what we call EH. EH is a certification that says that your pump must be cleanable on a certain way. You have on the other way a certification 380 standard. This is a more American standard that also says that your pump has to look on a certain way, and that it also has to be cleanable. These are certifications that are not depending on a law or a government, but this is more an organization certification that some customers will actually ask the pump constructors to deliver to make sure that their pumps apply to this certification. Now, the whole story about certification is also depending on what kind of hygienic industry you're in. For example, if you are in vegetable industry, the hygienic level will be not that high compared, for example, if you go to pharmaceutical or cosmetic industry, where you have to get up to the highest level of cleanability, of course.
That's really interesting. And also just regarding the certifications, I think it's important just to finish off and to talk to us about where kind of Verder and your pumps fit within that framework of certification. Can you give us a quick, short overview of your range in terms of how they adhere to those international and local standards?
Well, the nice thing about our pumps is that we really can deliver every pump and every certification. That we really can give deliver our pumps from the lowest certification, even what we call actually the more food industrial business, like for example vegetable, potato industry, this kind of industries. But that we actually go up to the pharmaceutical industry, where we can deliver roughness certificates, all the highest certificates, all the regulation that are necessary to have to prove that your pump is properly cleanable. We have a full range on that. So for every question, we can really give you a proper offer in this certain industry.
Kenneth, thank you so much for helping us understand the importance of electropolishing, and especially in a time like these where health and sanitization is so important. Kenneth, where can people find out more in terms of the health and safety features and the sanitation regulations around the Verder products?
Well, I think that the most easy on that case is to contact actually your local sales guy from Verder. The easiest to reach them is to go on the website www.verderliquids.com. Then you will get to your local website, and then it will be possible to actually contact the right salesperson in your area.
Thank you. Kenneth de Meester, thank you for joining me on scottkundel.com.
Scott, thank you very much.